Dead by Daylight, the game we love to hate. That's the tagline that I'd probably write for the Dead by Daylight community. We hate on the balancing, the developers, the community, the new content, the lack of new content, and so much more. I'll admit, I've definitely contributed to highlighting the lows of this game and the community, so I'd like to do something less doom and gloom today and talk about the sweet parts of the bittersweet DBD experience. We're not talking about why we leave or why we complain. We're talking about why we stay, why we come back, and why we forgive or at least tolerate the nonsense, of which there is a lot. This video will be divided into two sections: why I love DBD and why you guys love DBD. You'll never guess what I'll be starting with. Listen, I could probably make a 10-hour video about everything I love about this character, and that actually is a future video idea, but I'll be as brief as I possibly can be about these fictional beings that I care so much for. I have always come back to this game in part because I resonate so much with Charlotte and Victor Desai. I'm a twin myself, that's a fun fact, and I love how strongly Charlotte protects her family, and they are just such beautiful and tragic characters. All I want is for them to be happy. Them being an underdog within the community certainly contributes to my love for them. I showed up to the DBD space and I looked around and I couldn't find nearly enough fan art of them, so now I've spent hundreds of dollars commissioning so much twins art. Basically, any money I make from content creation goes back into commissioning artists from my community, and then that art is used in my videos. I also love their power mechanically. They literally don't work unless you use both Charlotte and Victor. Like, they have to work together. There's some macro gaming involved in having two entities on the map, and Victor is a mechanical challenge in that it's a challenge not to slam my head into the desk every time his pound doesn't fucking work, but it works most of the time. They're buggy. They're unpopular. I've made plenty of enemies with how much slugging I've done with this character. But man, they have my heart and soul. Speaking of soul, I should probably talk about... I think that Dead by Daylight, similar to other multiplayer games I've seen, creates an environment that fosters social interaction. Though this social interaction is unique because of the game's asymmetry, as survivors and killers have entirely different experiences. Safety in numbers versus at the top of the food chain. I love all of the little traditions and nonverbal communications we've created: booping the snoot, dropping an item to trade for an escape, bartending at a bar, the nodding and shaking your head, slug races, just the sheer amount of stuff we can communicate when we're limited to only 2 gesture types. Sure, there's a few ways to use these tools to be toxic, but I have had such delightful matches where I truly felt like I bonded with an opponent or a teammate, and it made my day. It's definitely the minority of matches. A lot of them kind of blend together. But I always come back because I know another gem of a match is right around the corner. Beyond the human interaction I found within the game, it has been so fun to create a community of DBD players. Yes, there can sometimes be fires, but the Twin Sanctuary is the best online community I've ever been a part of. And I know you might assume I'm biased because it's my server, and I am biased, but people are so kind and welcoming, and it's a good reminder that not everyone that plays DBD is toxic and angry all the time. Now, my third and final biggest reason for why I haven't quit is... I know I mentioned in my last video that I'm sad that we've sort of been lacking in the lore department these last few years, but that doesn't take away from my enjoyment of the DBD lore that already exists. The characters and stories that captured me so much that I've literally written, storyboarded, and am in the process of animating a story set in the world of Dead by Daylight with my twin sister. And that's a shameless plug. You should check it out because we got some cool stuff over there. So many of the original characters have compelling stories. Some of my personal favorites are Kazan, better known as the Oni, Tori Kane, and Adiris, better known as the Plague. And the twins, of course, but we just had a whole section about that, so... Sure. It took a little while for the writers to find their bearings. The first few survivors literally ended up in the realm because they got lost in the woods. But the stories of how these characters are beaten into vulnerability so they can get grabbed by this eldritch spider god are so unsettling and fascinating to read. My personal favorite parts of the lore is when character stories are intertangled. Yoonjin working for Trickster, Tori almost killing Hattie's brother, Elodie and the twins being terrorized by the same cult. Yes, I know I said I'd stop talking about them, but they're a perfect example, okay? DBD has had a lot of unique and interesting horror tales, and even though the quantity and quality has decreased a little as of late, I will always come back to read more about the fog and its inhabitants. That's a good summary of why I come back to the game, but I'm actually not the only DBD player, would you believe it? So let's move on to the community corner. This may very well be my longest community corner section. I usually ask a question in my Discord or my YouTube posts, and then I pick 4 to 8 responses to the prompt to comment on. But this time, in an effort to properly celebrate this game that has connected all of us, I will be showcasing every single reason that someone shared for why they play this game. There will be a little bit of overlap, so I'll combine a couple of the answers, but buckle in, it's time to list stuff. The human or silly moments where you can bond with opponents, or you're reminded that the person you're playing against literally has another human being, controlling them. Being able to play as a variety of licensed characters that you can't really find anywhere else. Hunk, Springtrap, Nemesis, Demogorgon, Pinhead, Dracula, Sadako. The amount of customization and versatility with the builds and killer options. The core experience, the gameplay loop, and the number of people you can pretty consistently play with. The community, and how accepting it is, and how many queer people, people of color, and marginalized groups there are. The fact that the game brings horror nerds together from all around the world to kill each other and befriend each other. There's both. This person met 2 of their best friends through this game and loves the world that it's created as a fan of cosmic horror. Being able to be the scary part of a game when you don't actually enjoy experiencing horror stuff. The fact that no 2 matches are ever identical and there are so many killer mechanics to learn. The constant updates and content shakeups keep the game feeling fresh. Being able to play with friends or having friends who want to play with you. The skill expression you can show when playing killer, like an orbital with Springtrap or an early condemn with Sadako. The Rift gives free cosmetics, which you can collect. The game is just fun. Simple as that. There is no game quite like DBD, and there are so many experiences that can exclusively happen in Dead by Daylight. I'm sure it doesn't help that every other horror ASIM has died. The real-time strategy of changing what you do based on what your opponents do. Staying out of spite. The events that change the core gameplay loop. The lore and the world surrounding DBD. It's the only PvP game this person can play that doesn't stress them out. I actually totally get that. PvP in almost every other game scares me, but in DBD I feel fine. The original chapters, like All Things Wicked, Doomed Course, Tools of Torment, and Sinister Grace. The music and the visual designs of the characters in the world. Having killer or survivor mains that you can come back to. The hide-and-seek gameplay loop of survivors and being able to try and outwit the killer. The grind towards unlocking every character, and the underdog experience of winning a tough match. Seeing how far this game has come since the beginning 10 whole years ago. My goodness, that's a long time. The game manages to find the balance between fast-paced and mechanically challenging without being overly complex. Both the killer and survivor sides are fun to play, and the maps are fun to explore. The dark horror aesthetic of the game. The ecstasy of barely escaping with your life or barely getting that win as killer. The chasing experience is fun on both sides. And when your solo queue team locks the fuck in and y'all have a great match. Wow. That was a lot of stuff. Turns out there's actually a lot of reasons people love this game, which means behavior can't be doing literally everything wrong. Right? Right? We can give them that. Thank you to all the people that participated in this section. I really appreciate how engaged this community is. And before I move over to the conclusion, I gotta thank my wonderful Ko-Fi supporters. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel and for funding the art that I commissioned for these videos. Thank you, James, Clover, Mazer, Jonathan, Leo, Purit, Ramen, Ulrin, Lori, my newest supporter, thank you, Raven, Katz, Nelson, Hammock, Bashi, Fajitas, Gwen, Floof, another new supporter, thank you, Fluffy, Souza, Koi, and Dingo. Thank you guys so much. I really appreciate everything that you guys contribute. This has been a super fun and relaxing video to work on because being positive is generally a lot less draining than complaining about stuff. I mean, the editing for the community corner thing was sort of a nightmare, but everything else was great. I'm not saying there's nothing to complain about. I'd argue that all of the good things to be said about DBD and all of the bad things to be said about DBD can and should exist at the same time. Behavior has had some huge balancing misses, and behavior has created something really unique and special for horror fans, are two statements that shouldn't be mutually exclusive. This game is special, man. I've made some awesome friends and built a whole community around it. Heck, I would not be as far as I am with YouTube without Dead by Daylight. My whole online representation is a character from it. I'd love to hear your guys' reasons for sticking around the community and game, what brought you to it in the first place, and any thoughts on anything from this video. I actually have a bunch of thinking to do here. Thank you for sticking around with me and for all of the support for the channel. I know I haven't been posting as regularly as I used to, but I am just so lucky to have gotten this far, and I could not have done it without y'all. I love making videos, I love yapping about whatever's been on my mind lately, and I'm so honored that so many of you guys are willing to listen. Remember not to get too lost in the sauce of negativity. It's easy to. It's very easy to. But I do think there's such thing as too much complaining. Do things that bring you joy, whatever that looks like, as long as it's not like hurting anyone. Video games are meant to be an escape from the divisiveness and toxicity of the real world, not an extension of it. I will continue to write my silly little videos in this silly little world to make sense of the chaos and horror of reality. And I hope you guys continue to stick around for that journey. I love you guys, and I'll see you next time.